Alright, guys, I know it's been a while. I apologize. And I know I haven't done a couple of XFL prediction videos. I missed like the last 2 weeks of the season. Yeah, I was not looking forward to missing out on those. But I am here. The 8th has come. And it is championship or conference championship weekend. Actually, it's conference championship Sunday. There are 2 games. One's at 3, one's at 6 on ABC and Fox in respective spots. I'm going to give you my predictions. Birmingham and Michigan in Birmingham. I'm taking the Stallions to win this one. Started out 0-1, came back and stormed through the entire rest of the season. Did very, very well overall. Looking at the standings. They went 7-3. Michigan went 6-4. Wait, that means they lost in week 10. Oh, they lost in week 10. Wow. I would have picked Michigan to win. Actually, I think I saw part of that game. I think I seen part of that game. Was it Michigan? I think it was what? Michigan and Houston week 10? Michigan and Houston. I think it was Michigan Houston week 10. If I believe correctly, it was Michigan and Houston week 10. Yeah, they lost. Houston and Michigan. Houston won 19-12. San Antonio lost 23-6. DC lost to St. Louis 13-8. And Memphis got fucking routed. They got routed 46-9. I would just say pack up Memphis and give them a different team. Memphis can't do anything right. Week 9, DC DC lost to Houston 24-21. Birmingham beat Michigan 26-22. Memphis lost again, typical, 30-12, and San Antonio, typical, lost to St. Louis 39-13. Week 8, Memphis beat San Antonio, which is a shock, 24-22. Birmingham lost to St. Louis 29-28. Houston lost to Michigan 30-18, and DC just squeaked out Arlington 33-30. Now, heading into the conference championship, it is indeed, like I mentioned, Michigan versus Birmingham. I'm going to give the edge to Birmingham. Like I said, they started off slow in the beginning. They came back to have a great postseason, great end of the season. They only had, one loss in the last 3 weeks of play, and that was to St. Louis. They've been really working on their team, even without their coach from last season. So they've been really coming up with something innovative, creative, and personally, a great style of football. It's going to be a good game between the two. It really will be. I think it's going to be one of the closest matches we have in the conference. Of all games, that's going to be one of the closest ones. Now, the other game at 6 o'clock on Fox, is DC playing in St. Louis. They just had their last game against each other in Week 10. St. Louis coming out with the win. Now, I think St. Louis is going to go ahead and win again. However, they're at home this time. Now, last time DC and St. Louis played, they played in DC. So, should lightning strike twice, DC will win again in St. Louis. The last time they played in St. Louis, DC got the upper hand. Now, looking back at the standings, DC is 6-4. St. Louis is 8-2. St. Louis is 8-2. The only two losses were DC and I forget who else. Can I see the thing here? Let's see. Let me see. I cannot see them here. Or over here. Schedule. St. Louis. That's not how it's going to work. It's going to take me a little bit. I thought clicking on just the team would help me. Nope, didn't help. Week 1 was a win. Week 2 was a win. Week 3 was their first loss of the season. Week 4 was a loss. That was our second loss. And then we won the weeks 5 through 10. Okay. I can deal with that. Our first loss to DC was 27-15 and 30-15 in the game against Arlington the week after. DC playing in St. Louis. I'm going to have to give the edge again to my favorite of the teams right now, which is St. Louis. It's the Battlehawks. They've proven without AJ they can do some damage on the field offensively, and of course their defensive line has held up pretty well. Now, I would like to see St. Louis versus Birmingham. I think they're a pretty entertaining matchup. But of course, again, you got to think, if Birmingham does end up winning and St. Louis does end up winning, it's going to be a rematch of one of the weeks earlier that I mentioned, which I believe was week 8. Week 8 or week... Yeah, I think it was week 8. When St. Louis got the upper hand. Now again, St. Louis is hosting the UFL Championship game as well. So, think about it. If St. Louis does manage to beat DC, they'll be playing at home against Birmingham with a possibility to become the only team, I think. I could be wrong. Help me out if I'm wrong in the comments. By being the only team to win at home. Now, we've seen it done in the Super Bowl. We've seen it done. LA won at home in SoFi. The Bucks won in Raymond James when they were in the Super Bowl over the past decade. I really think, St. Louis and Birmingham will be a great matchup. Again, don't get me wrong, DC is a great team. But I want St. Louis to win that game. So the conference championship games, I'm picking Birmingham over Michigan. That's at 3 o'clock on ABC and 6 o'clock on Fox. DC rolls into St. Louis to play the Battlehawks. I'm taking St. Louis. Call is law. We all know that. And bird is definitely the word. If you get my drift on that. That'll do it for me here. I have several things I'm looking at right now, getting into. I just received, if you guys didn't see the video from my phone, Daggerheart, which is the game by Critical Role. I'm looking at that right now. I'm looking and seeing about maybe putting something together for that. I'm working with the local Pokemon League like I always do on Saturdays. I got 2 D&D games running and a campaign I'm doing myself. So that's also getting into the way of a lot of other stuff. I do apologize again for the late content that you guys are getting here. I really do apologize. It's so bad. I'm such a bad procrastinator, and I gotta stop. I'm going to show you in one of these videos upcoming in the next few days a project I'm working on and how I gotta fix it, because I play tested yesterday and I realized there were problems that I had. And I'll get back to you with that because, you know, it took me a while to get all the stuff ready. It really did. I was really looking and thinking and being like, wait a minute. And then it hit me, so, you know. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. Who do you want to win? I'll be checking with you. Don't worry about it. I'll be checking. And I'll have predictions for the championship game next week, because next week we'll wrap up the season. Thanks guys again for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and stay awesome, alright? Alright.